Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Shri Surabhyay Namaha Om Shri Surabhyay Namaha Om Shri Surabhyay Namaha Mukham karoti vacharam tvangum vangayate girim Yat kripatamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataram Yat kripatamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataram Hare Krishna. Everyone is getting their second or third dose of ginger, right? Yeah. Make sure you chew on it. One of the very important principles during this particular time here. It is highly recommended if anyone is coughing or sneezing to sneeze or cough in such a way that it is contained to the maximum. That means in your cloth and as far away as possible from anyone who might be close. And it is good to keep as far distance between one another as possible. So I would like to welcome everyone, especially those who are online. We're doing this actually for those online. Devotees might want to get their own self. This is a traditional, what is called traditional technology. In villages, people have their own, what do you call it?
Fans.
Huh? Fan, yeah. Handmade fan. They make in bamboo. It was common to have in the villages. So we would like to welcome everyone to, this is our second session of what was started yesterday. Pariprashnena Sevaya, an opportunity for devotees to bring forth some queries or questions on topics naturally related to Krishna consciousness. And we have set up a system whereby one can send such questions. Yesterday we basically dealt with the first of such questions, and I have since received others. And basically we will read these questions, identify the person who is asking, the devotee who is asking. Very often they will be related with a major theme that we discuss a lot in various forums, and especially those who are connected with any rural community, as we are here at Sayadri Sri Krishna Balam Kshetra in South India, in the district of Udupi. There are many questions. We welcome especially such types of questions. We do not claim to be an authority on all subject matters. Krishna consciousness is vast, and especially we want to encourage devotees to inquire on matters relating to the whole spectrum of Varnasrama dharma. Not exclusively, but I would say primarily. That in itself is a very broad subject matter, as I'm sure all of you understand. So I will go immediately to the second question. This was sent by a devotee known to many, who is part of our ministry here in India, Hari Kirtan Prabhu from Chivela in Andhra Pradesh. And it's a very short question. How Varnasrama system transformed to caste system? How Varnasrama system transformed to caste system? We all know how just pronouncing the name Varnasrama or referring to Varnasrama, for many people it's a problem. It presents a problem because there are so many negative things that are connected with the word Varnasrama. And of course one of them is directly in terms of the word caste. If we look at there are many things to be said, of course, but we'll keep it relatively short. Actually, the different questions that are being asked, we'll try to give between 5 and 10 minutes response so that we can cover various other questions that are there. So originally, what many people don't know, especially people in the Western world, or even sometimes scholars, is that the system of Varna and Ashrama, where there are these natural divisions that are often, in the Veda base, which is a compilation of all of Srila Prabhupada's books and conversations. I just checked it out earlier today. There are close to 2,000 references to caste. So it's not that it's not used. There's a misunderstanding caste is defined actually as a division within society. There is a natural division of these four, what we call social orders, which are referred to, of course, in the Shastra as Varna. The whole system of Varna and Ashrama is based on social divisions, Varnas, and spiritual divisions, Ashramas. Some people contend that actually the term or the classification of Shudra is a recent invention. or creation. But we know from Bhagavad Gita is often referred to as Indian text or Hindu book of knowledge. We know, anyone who studies Bhagavad Gita, it is beyond simply being an Indian text or Hindu text. It is an eternal book of knowledge. That's very important. In that eternal book of knowledge, the concept of Varna is presented and explained. It means that actually these natural divisions are there. The Prabhupada uses the word vitiated. Vitiated system means the malinterpreted use of caste, the malinterpreted use of Varna or Varnasrama is what is not is what creates a problem. In that this misinterpretation and wrong understanding of caste began, practically speaking, from the beginning of Kali Yuga. There are many things to be said in that respect, but the whole thing, and Prabhupada actually refers to that as well, is centered on the misunderstanding, which still prevails in various circles today, that Varna is based on birth. That Varna is based on birth, which is not supported by great authorities like Narada Muni in the Srimad Bhagavatam, nor is it supported by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna explains, Chaturvarnam ayasristam guna karma vibhagasah. Varna, or natural division, is based on quality and activity. It's a well-known verse. But unfortunately, due to this being Kali Yuga, and from the whole incident of Sringi cursing Parikshit Maharaj, this is nicely explained actually by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and one can read more details about this. We will not get into further discussion. One can read about this in some of the writings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, wherein he explains that that was the seed of the difference that came about between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. And therefore, again, being Kali Yuga, persons who were having these high positions in society of Brahmana, high position means high responsibility of leadership. The natural leadership responsibilities in society are the Brahmanas, means the intellectual class. And it's not only a division, again, as Prabhupada explains, it's not only something that we observe in India. There's an intellectual class everywhere in the world. There is an administrative class everywhere in the world, the Kshatriyas. There is a productive class everywhere in the world. These are the Vaishyas. They produce food. They care for cows. And there's a laborer class. These are natural divisions. So, therefore, in one sense, that original division of society has always been there, but it has become perverted or vitiated, as Prabhupada uses the term, polluted, has become polluted due to misuse of powers by those in such leadership positions, and especially this idea of one having a rightful claim due to being born in a Brahmana family, or a Kshatriya family, or a Vaishya family to become automatically, or to be recognized and accepted in society. This is what has caused and what still continues to cause many misunderstandings and divisions within society. So just to summarize and to finish, our acharyas in the last maybe 2 centuries, especially, beginning from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, have therefore emphasized the aspect of Daiva Varnasrama. What is the difference between Varnasrama and Daiva Varnasrama? If Varnasrama would be followed as it is meant to be followed, we would not have to use the word Daiva. Daiva has just been introduced to emphasize that actually all the members of the Varna and Asrama system are meant to be focused on self-realization, are meant to be focused especially on serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Means bhakti. So when all the members, beginning from the level of Shudra, if there are leaders, there must be followers. Natural. These are the natural 2 divisions also that are found everywhere. Some people by nature, they have ability, inclination, qualities to lead others. But that's not found in everyone. That is due to karma. We are born influenced by different gunas. That's a whole other topic, which is nicely described, of course, in the Bhagavad Gita. So misunderstandings are generally present and continue to be there due to a lack of understanding of the basic concepts and principles which are given in these books of knowledge called Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So, how Varnashrama system transformed to caste system? Because of misuse and because of this introduction of this unauthorized concept that by birth I become a Brahmana. So in our Krishna consciousness movement, this is very clearly established by Srila Prabhupada, often referred to as well in his lectures and purports, that regardless of where one is born, regardless of which family one is born, if one displays the qualities of a particular caste is quite okay when we understand it as it is explained and given in its original pure form. I'm sure, many of these questions would need possibly, or we could spend more time on them, but I think that hopefully will give some clarity to this particular question. We will now go to third question that we received. Let's see here. This is from another devotee connected with the ISKCON Daiva Varnasrama ministry here in India. Also based in, close to Andhra Pradesh, what used to be Andhra Pradesh before, Telangana, Hyderabad. This is a question from Rasamandal Prabhu. With gunas not clear in the present time, how to understand prescribed duties? Nice philosophical question. Difficult to distinguish and to understand. And And therefore, the question is, if we don't know what is our guna, how to understand should be our karma, our activities? Because guna, as again nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita, brahmanas primarily in the mode of goodness. So somebody who's primarily in the mode of goodness will be inclined towards Brahminical activities. And Brahminical activities, this is something which we often lack clear understanding even as devotees. Brahminical activities is not only on the altar, offering puja, doing puja. Brahminical activities are not only those related to a temple or to preaching. One is a preacher. Brahminical activities, I would say to a large extent, because we don't sufficiently study the original syllabus that makes up Vedic education, traditional Vedic education. And therefore we miss out, or we don't understand how professions or activities such as architecture, or medicine, these are Brahminical activities. One who is an astrologer. Did anyone ever start reading or studying books on astrology? Not so easy. You did, huh? Yeah.
From our library.
From our library, yes. When one starts to look at these books, one begins to understand that actually to become an actual qualified astrologer, one has to do quite a bit of study. Same with architecture. So these are long-standing sciences which are connected. We can say the same actually for the other Varnas. So Brahmana Varna opens the doors to many different occupations. Another aspect, so that's one thing. We fail to actually know a whole variety of activities that are actually not known very often as being connected with this particular Varna. That's one thing. Secondly, to a large extent, this confusion is present and will remain as long as we continue to live in a very artificial way. Modern day society is built up on a very unnatural, unsustainable, and artificial system, which does not so easily allow one to understand one's nature. You see, there's a lot of things to be said in that respect, but the main point being that the more we return to a natural lifestyle. Natural lifestyle means the lifestyle which is promoted and advocated in the Vedic culture. Just like now, we are seeing, people are reporting and sharing how because of this whole global epidemic, everyone is forced to stay inside, and so there's much less movement of humans, which is a good thing, in different places. And you might have seen some pictures. When humans retract from so many places, then because what we have done over the years, over the decades, we have actually taken over the natural habitat of many species. And now people are taking pictures of, I saw a picture of a whole bunch of deers. Some of you might have seen also. Deers that are just like we see a whole group of cows sitting sometimes on the road in cities, in some cities. So this is a picture of, maybe 30, 40 deers just quietly sitting on a national highway. And because there's no traffic. And, like in a place like Canada, where it's like basically a vast forest. But, of course, compared to other countries, there's much less traffic. But when there is no traffic, then it's like, all different species of life are less disturbed. As humans, we have actually brought all kinds of disturbance. That's a whole big topic in itself. So this returning, this need to return to a more natural lifestyle, natural lifestyle means actually Vedic lifestyle. What is natural means what is according to our nature. What is meant to be in harmony with our nature. What is our nature? Most people don't know that we have a spiritual nature. And that the primary goal and objective of all of our activities is meant to be in harmony with that spiritual nature. So people don't know about the spiritual nature, that we are first and foremost spirit souls, and we are meant to learn and to understand and follow dharma. Dharma means what is our original spiritual nature. That's on one level. We often refer to this, of course. And the other level also, we're meant to live in a more simplified way. Very much different than what modern day urbanization is promoting. So this will help in a major way to understand more about the influence of the gunas upon us. Of course, another, maybe one just last point also, because that question comes up actually. Sometimes the devotees ask, the perennial question, of course, is, who am I? And within our ISKCON society is, what is my guna? Sometimes comes up. For a devotee who's living in a temple, that should be seen as less of a problem, in that someone who is fully engaged in a temple situation especially, and more so as a brahmachari, then regardless of one's material inclination, influence, what we are meant to do as devotees is above the influence of these gunas. In other words, sometimes we may be called upon to do something which we may not be necessarily inclined, but there's a need for that particular service to be taken up, and we do it. And because ultimately devotional service, as we all know, is totally transcending the modes of material nature when we do it or perform those activities in the proper consciousness. So these are a few comments that hopefully can clear up this it actually presents a major problem because the vast majority of people are not properly engaged. And I would say that the vast majority, not only of people, but the vast majority of our own devotees. I'm talking about devotees who are, again, not full-time devotees in the temple. I'm talking about devotees who are not full-on front-line preachers, which is the majority of our devotees. Of course, anyone who's a devotee, regardless of where one may be living, regardless of one's varna and asrama, all of us, if we properly understand what it means to be a devotee, means we should be committed to the cause of Krishna consciousness. But in the present context, social context of modern day society, the prescribed duties that is meant to be there according to Shastra is also not being followed by the vast majority of our devotees. And therefore, there's a need actually to discuss more on this point so as to understand. And once we understand, we can begin to take certain steps to actually help not adjust, but actually change. Prabhupada clearly mentioned, one of the objectives of the Krishna consciousness movement is to bring about a complete overhaul in society. Overhaul, for those who may not be familiar with the term, means a complete turnabout, change. And Prabhupada adds to that quote, or to that statement, whereby one follows one's varna and asrama. Complete overall society within the context of the established scientific, God-created, Krishna-created system of varna and asrama. And we have another question, which is the fourth question here that was sent by another famous personality, known to all of us, at least here at SSKBK, very much involved with SSKBK up until quite recently. Sriram Prabhu sent the following question. Nice question. Is it advisable to start the farm community directly, or is it advisable to connect a farm community to a temple? We see both the models. Can you kindly explain to us which is easy and better? Shortcut. So the question again, is it advisable to start the farm community directly, or is it advisable to connect a farm community to a temple? Interesting question. Ultimately, a community needs to be connected to a temple. So modern-day ISKCON and modern-day society, where there's a major divide between, let's say, urban living and rural life or village life, we often fail to understand that actually if we start a community fresh, let's say somebody comes in tomorrow, I have 100 acres of land to give you. Will you take it? Yes, we should take it. Knowing that actually within that 100 acres of land and whatever community we create, there will be a temple. So the question here is, should that be started independently, or should we connect with the city temple? It doesn't, let's see. Or is it advisable to connect a farm community to a temple? It's not clearly mentioned here, but it means should it be connected to a city temple. There are advantages and disadvantages. I'll just briefly mention a few small things. Many years ago, when Srila Prabhupada was physically present, he actually gave a standing order that every city temple should have within its 50-mile or 50-kilometer radius a farm community from where the milk and produce from the land can be given or exchanged, whatever, with our city temple so that the deities get fresh, wholesome food, ahimsa milk, etc., which never really happened on the scale. A few places it's there, but in most places not. So, ideally, yes, there is a need to have a temple connected with a farm community, but we should know that a community in a village community, village by definition, and again, unless we study some of the standard Vedic texts, we will fail to understand a very fundamental principle, which is that of local governance. We've had very bad experiences in the past, whereby some project, community, rural project, was being governed, was being directed, was being administered from the city. And when it didn't suit the interests of the city, it was closed. And meantime, so many things. People sometimes invested and built their own home, and a lot of very bad experiences happen in that way. So the idea is that in the initial stage, that can be there, some assistance, but actually, on the long run, a village, community, rural project is meant to be self-managed. And within that community, there should be a temple. I'll just give a small example. Many years ago, in the context of Hyderabad farm, that Prabhupada named as Narasingha, Naimisharanya, gave the name. When Srila Prabhupada was visiting once, there was a whole conversation that was recorded, and that is can be read in Hari Sari Prabhu's diary. I think one of the later or last editions, and I had received some copy of that, whereby Prabhupada mentioned the following, because at that time that was 700 acres that had been donated. And Prabhupada had mentioned that since it's a big area, there should be clusters of householders, 5 to 7 families, spread out on this land. And each of these groups of grihastas can have their own temple and their own deities. So they don't have to walk, 700, whatever. 700 acres is a good distance. And if you have to go at 4:30 Mangalarti and you happen to be living at the other end, that's why normally temples would be in the middle. But even in the middle of 700 acres, you're far away. So, all rural projects of ISKCON, there should be some kind of connection, but on the long run, the governance aspect needs to be taken up by that community, by devotees who are actually living within that community. We have yet to develop this whole aspect. There's more to be said on that. Maybe we can take this question up again tomorrow, because we are running out of time, and we should finish our program with short kirtan also. Yes. So we just want to remind those who might be listening that kindly tell other devotees that there is a system whereby if anyone has some questions, they can send it to Rasamandal Prabhu, and one can find out by writing to our ministry for more details of how to actually do that.